they haven't really figured things out on the offensive side of the ball. They have the talent, but I'm not sure it's all going to come together. So I think that if Rodgers is playing comfortably, the Packers can take it. Things get a little hairy if Rodgers isn't.
Gentlemen, let's get into the discussion right now. The NFC North division, probably all eyes are on this division, even though that the NFC South, they have the Super Bowl winner from last year. But the NFC North, for one particular reason, let's get the elephant out of the room. That is Aaron Rodgers, and sources confirm he does deep clean his house with only his personal deep cleaner. So with that said, I mean, we can look into a multitude of different ways. Dalton, first off, how do you feel like the NFC North is going to play out this upcoming season? And we're going to operate under the assumption Aaron Rodgers is playing and he is in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he is going to play. I think that this is something that they've been going through since the NFL draft last year when they took Jordan Love. They didn't, I guess, adequately talk to Aaron Rodgers about that before the draft happened, and that's part of the reason why he's so upset. Listen, Aaron Rodgers is the pettiest person maybe in the entire NFL, and because of that, he went in last year with that chip on his shoulder, and he's going to go in to this season with that same chip. He's not going to perform below expectation like he had been in previous years. He's going to come out, he's going to play probably at an MVP type of level again, and then after that, he's going to say, listen, trade me, I'm done, I'm out of it. And I think that this is his final year with the Green Bay Packers, but I think he will play for the Green Bay Packers. And listen, if he shows up, they're winning this division. The Minnesota Vikings are probably that second team in this division.
Hey, be careful. You know you're going to rile up the Vikings. As we got them on the schedule breakdown. You guys kind of caused a little bit of fire there, but the Vikings are a good team, but I still have a hard time seeing them as number one, even if Rodgers is back.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way that they win this division if Aaron Rodgers plays. It's just not going to happen. And listen, I like Kirk Cousins more than I think a lot of people do. I know we have a Kirk Cousins stan here on this side of me.
There's a Kirk Cousins jersey in this closet over here, actually.
Yes,
I won't get that out, but yeah.
Listen, we made people upset. We should have talked more about how the Minnesota Vikings did try to address their defensive line woes. They went out, they got Michael Pierce, they got Dalvin Tomlinson. They tried to address it. They're still not a great team, guys. I don't know how else to say this. They lack guys in the secondary. Cam Dantzler had a very good rookie season. We all thought he would have a good rookie season because he was good in college. I was a massive fan of Jeff Gladney. He has some DV issues going on right now, some off the field troubles. They've struggled in the secondary recently with their cornerbacks, keeping them on the field. Now, they still have Harrison Smith, who is a fantastic safety, and Xavier Woods, who is better than people give him credit for. So they're not bad in the secondary, but they're not great at the cornerback position. And when you're not great at the cornerback position, you have to face Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be difficult. They're the second best team in the division in my eyes still. After that, you have the Chicago Bears. They obviously drafted Justin Fields. I'm very intrigued to see how often, how many games he plays this year. And then on top of that, the Detroit Lions are the bottom feeders right now. Jared Goff is what he is at this point. He's a pocket quarterback who is unable to create out of structure. And the Lions are a team without any high-end wide receivers at all. I mean, you're going into a year with Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Quintez Cephas, Tyrell Williams, and Brashad Perryman. What are we doing here, Detroit? That's not going to get it done. Your offense is going to be bad, and it's going to be because you totally ignored the wide receiver position in the offseason.
I can respect that too. I will say out there, underrated. I'm eager to see how it plays out for Patrick Peterson in Minnesota. Maybe Mike Zimmer can go back to a little bit more of that man-to-man style that we're used to because maybe he's better suited for it. I mean, obviously when you get to go against Justin Jefferson in practice every single day and you're calling him out in mini-camp doing one-on-ones, I think that's a sign of wanting to get better despite the fact of his veteran stature. And sometimes you typically see cornerbacks maybe get a little bit slower as time ages on, but
they hit that
valid concerns though.
They hit that hill once you get past 30 at times, and most guys just aren't able to perform, especially when they were freak athletes like he was. Like Richard Sherman was never that elite athlete. He was the cerebral cat in the secondary. Patrick Peterson was the athletic freak. He was the guy that was going to just stick to you in man coverage. And once you lose that step, you have to be able to change the way you play. And he just has not been able to go to that veteran savvy, cerebral type role. He just hasn't been able to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Now, Ian, I'm going to throw it to you. Do you believe, do you agree with Dalton that it's going to go Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, and then Detroit at the bottom of the NFC North heading into the 2021 NFL season?
If Aaron Rodgers is there, yeah. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he took a Green Bay team that wasn't as good as it was in 2019 almost to the Super Bowl last year. I mean, he basically carried them the entire way. He was playing out of his mind, and he's still got that chip on his shoulder, it seems like, if he hasn't reported at this point, right? Now, I'm not so sure he's going to report. Now, part of that is just me. I habitually sit on the fence, guys, and you'll see that a lot in the videos to come. It's just something I do. It's a habit. It's bad, but I can't see if he hasn't reported at this point, if he declined a massive extension from the Packers earlier in the offseason, like what's really going to drive him to show up at this point? Like maybe the Packers just stick with Jordan Love. You already drafted him in round 1, right? Just move on, right? If Aaron Rodgers is going to. But like Dalton said too, I can also see Rodgers come back, use this year to springboard him into a very, very lucrative free agency period, or trade deal, that is. Like, hey, trade me. Like, I am not sticking around any longer. I'm a good quarterback. Let me go somewhere else. So we'll see what happens. But if he plays for the Packers, I think it's pretty simple. I think the Packers take it because, let's be honest, as much as I love Justin Fields and the Bears, they're not quite there yet. The roster has some holes all across the board. And I do love Fields. I think he's going to immediately upgrade that team and maybe give them enough hope to keep Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace around, because we know they were kind of on the hot seat heading into this one. But maybe Fields can kind of help them. And the Lions, Amon-Ra St. Brown is my guy. So you're not going to hear me bad-mouthing him. I think he's a very good player who has a chance to really benefit from the opportunity in that receiving room, but he's one player. He's a 4th-round pick. Can't spend too much time on him. Jared Goff is not great, and I think that Sean McVay was masking a lot of his deficiencies early on in his career with the Rams. So now that he doesn't have that, I feel like that might hurt him a little bit. The Lions' offensive line is actually pretty good. It's actually pretty underrated. So I will say that, and I think 𝗦𝗢𝗡 moving to guard is going to be good. But that said, they also added some nice pieces on the defensive line. But I just, there's too much youth. I think it's going to take some time for them. They need seasoning. They got 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗘 as well. And also, I think 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗍𝗓, So they have a lot of really good rookies. Like, they got a lot of our favorite players that we were talking about during the draft breakdown videos. But again, I mean, they're rookies. It's going to take time. I think the Lions are at the start of that. And then ending with the Vikings. Vikings fans, if you're looking for me to say, like, oh, they're going to take it even with Aaron Rodgers playing, I'm not going to say that. And I'm a big Kirk Cousins fan, dating back to Michigan State days. Like, he's like the only player that I can't really view objectively. It's a bad thing. But I will say, I don't think they're quite there yet. I don't think they can challenge Aaron Rodgers. And that's really because, one thing, I think the roster isn't good enough to challenge Aaron Rodgers with the Packers roster. I think the Packers roster is still pretty solid, even though they lost a few pieces, and also the coaching. I do not think that Mike Zimmer has really adjusted to the modern NFL quite as well as we wanted him to. And game script wise, there are a lot of problems that they have on that offensive side of the ball, where sometimes they try to stick with the run, they get behind and they dig a hole for themselves. And offensive coordinators have been kind of rotating through there, dating back to 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗘𝗦. So they haven't really figured things out on the offensive side of the ball. They have the talent, but I'm not sure it's all going to come together. So I think that if Rodgers is playing comfortably, the Packers can take it. Things get a little hairy if Rodgers isn't there, and maybe the Vikings can take advantage. But I think right now, as long as Rodgers is there, it's not really a conversation.
And I'll touch on this to close here. Regarding the Minnesota Vikings, you mentioned rotating offensive coordinators. Obviously, 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗢𝗜 has retired. His son is now taking over as a first-year NFL OC. Obviously, a lot of the same principles that he's learned from his father. He's gone everywhere his father has gone. He's getting that experience. But a first-time rookie offensive coordinator in the NFL going against veteran experienced defensive coordinators, that will be a test in and of itself. Kirk Cousins, I mean, like I said, I think that some Vikings fans made some valid comments that, they've addressed the offensive line a little bit, but they're young players. The key for them is to have balance between the run and the pass, not get too conservative, and a lot of that falls on Mike Zimmer. So I'm excited to see how things shape out for Minnesota. I think they are one of the top talented teams in that division. I think you can maybe make an argument that, yes, maybe they could compete for the division, but as long as Aaron Rodgers is there, as we're operating under the assumption he will be this year at least, I still think that Green Bay wins it because he himself gives them such an advantage, such an edge. And yes, the Vikings, they beat the Packers in one of their matchups last year, but the reality is the NFL changes so much. Davante Adams is still there. They've added Rodgers at the wide receiver position, a speedy guy who can operate in the slot. I think that even if Aaron Rodgers is back, they have a little bit more better supporting cast around in terms of some talent at wide receiver. Will it be enough? That's the big question. I still think that Green Bay's top of the throne there, and I do agree with you, gentlemen, as to maybe how it's going to play out. The Detroit Lions, obviously, a little bit in a rebuilding mode here. Chicago, some intriguing prospects. Will their defense be good? Can it get back to what it was under Vic Fangio? And even the first year under Chuck Pagano, they struggled a little bit last year. Losing Kyle Fuller, I think, is a big blow to them defensively, but they have some young, talented players. So a lot of young guys on the defensive side of the ball for many of these teams. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel Pro Football Network to get the NFC East preseason division power rankings, courtesy of Ian Cummings, Dalton Miller, and myself, Cody Roark. We'll see you then.